Hello and welcome to another quick maths tutorial. Today I'll be showing you how to solve quadratic equations, this time using the formula, the quadratic formula to be exact. So last time I showed you how to do it with factorisation, but the problem with that, as I mentioned, is that it only works if you can find whole integer factor pairs, because that's what you can do mentally in your head written down without a calculator. But most quadratic equations have answers that x is a horrible irrational decimal that you wouldn't be able to spot and you wouldn't be able to put into factors. And so in that case, there is actually a formula that I'm going to show you that can give us it can basically show us x. But what I just want to stress to you is this only works when our quadratic equation is in this form. Circle it here. There we go. When ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. And what that means is that we have three numbers that aren't 0, which are a, b, and c. Well, they could be 0 actually. And so basically they're just coefficients. They're just lots of, it's just a nice word to say, of x squared, lots of bx, lots of c. And that needs to be equal to 0. If it's not, rearrange it to be equal to 0. If you can't do that, it can't be solved. Just a little disclaimer before I go in there, we do need in that form for this to work. But this is what you need to put it in. So if I just write x is equal to, because that is what we're figuring out, this is going to be, you're going to have to remember this if you're doing GCSE exams, by the way. So it is quite long, but hopefully it should stick in your head. Minus b, so whatever b is, flip the sign, plus or minus. So that's a plus sign and a minus sign. So it could be either or, and the reason for that is, like in the last video, we got two answers for x. In this one, it's no different. We will get two answers for x, depending on whether we add the next part or take it. And it will be a square root of b squared. What's the? There we go. 2 minus 4a c. That's all in the square root, by the way. But we're not done yet, because that is all over 2a. Okay, that's another a, sorry. Alright, so that is our equation. It's quite big, and it contains a, b, and c. So if we know what a, b, and c are from our quadratic equation, we know what the numbers are, we just input them, and we can get x. So, interestingly enough, if you were to plot this on a graph and it doesn't cross the x-axis, then x, when it's equal to 0, doesn't exist, and it will actually get an error, and that will be that this in the square root, the b squared minus 4ac, is a negative number, and you can't square root a negative number. That doesn't really work. So, first of all, let's look at what a, b, and c are. We need to find what they are. For this green one I've got here, line that. Boom. A is what's in front of the x squared, that would be 1. B, what is in front of the x, that is also 1. C is whatever's here, so it's minus 4. Remember, the minuses and pluses is very important in this topic. So minus 4. I know that's A, B, and C. I'm going to put that into the equation because I've checked it is equal to 0, so we can carry on with that. I bear in mind you probably need a calculator for this, unless it wants you to leave it in a fraction or third form, because the point with this is you don't get nice numbers usually. So minus b, that would be minus 1, plus or minus square root. Okay, b squared, that's 1 squared, minus 4. I'm going to put in brackets here, so I'm going to work out a times c. A is 1, c is minus 4, that is minus 4. Okay, that's still in the square root, all over 2 times a is 1, so that is all over 2. Alright, let's simplify that a bit. So, minus 4 times minus 4 is positive 16, minus 4 squared is square something, so it's positive, so we get 16. So that is 1 plus 16, that's 17, so we have the 17 in the square root. And that's it. I'm actually going to just say x is equal to, or x is equal to, and I'm going to write two things, and I'm not going to bother simplifying, because on a non-calculator this would be fine. You can put this into your calculator if you want to, but I'm going to put, so it's minus 1, because this is in its simplest form, plus root 17 all over 2, or minus 1 minus root 17 all over 2 again. They're both what x is, okay? So you bear in mind, I'm not going to work that out. If I move on to my second and also last example, yeah, here we go. It's in red because it's a bit harder, but there's only one extra step, and that's getting it equal to 0. And I'm going to move these terms across. So I'm going to add 2x, so I get x squared plus 5x. I've chosen these so they don't work out nicely, by the way. And I'm going to take 7. It's minus 7 because we haven't got any constant on that side. That's 0. I've removed everything, so there's nothing on that side. And we can solve that. So A, I'm going to write capitals. We shouldn't actually be doing that now, just so it looks nicer to you guys. A is 1. B is 5. And C is minus 7. Okay. Can you remember the equation? The formula, sorry. The formula. So we can say that x, I'm going to be putting the value straight away, is minus b. So minus 5 plus or minus the square root of b squared. B is 5, so that is 25 minus 4 bracket AC. So A is 1 and C is minus 7, so it's minus 7. All over 2A. A is again 1, so that is 2. So minus 4 times minus 7, that gives us positive 28, so that's 25 plus 28. That's 53, so we've got root 53 here. So x, I'm going to write as my answers, is 5. Now we can do the plus root and get root 53 over 2. Or we can get x is 5 minus root 53 all over 2. Okay, there are two answers, and that's about it, really. The only complicated part about this is just remembering the formula. Okay, guys, so thanks for watching this math tutorial.